You may be a current homeowner that's thinking about selling your home. Perhaps you're in the process of actually getting your home ready so that you're able to put it on the market. Here are 10 things that you absolutely do not want to do when you're selling your home, because at the end of the day, you want to sell it for the highest price and the fastest way possible. And you know what? Let's start off with number one, and this may be an obvious, and that is pricing it according to the current real estate market. Right now, you're going to want to get local information, of course, but I would say just in general within the US, also in Florida, it is still a seller's market, but it is becoming much more balanced. 2 years ago, sellers could literally just pick a price and a buyer was there paying even over that price. You can't do that anymore. So in today's market, it is much more balanced and you have to price your home accordingly, especially because there's a lot of other options. So inventory is absolutely piling up across the United States. In Florida, it's still below 2019 levels, but versus 2 years ago, buyers have options. And so if a home is overpriced, there's two things that could happen here. Either a buyer's going to come in with a lower offer and you're not going to be very happy if the buyer is even willing to entertain an offer to the seller, or they're just going to look at a comparable home that's much better priced. And that is typically the route that I'm seeing a lot of buyers moving towards right now. And so if you're overpricing it, tremendously overpricing it, you're going to lose out on a lot of potential buyers that otherwise would have been very interested in your home. Number two is skipping the necessary repair work. So if you're a seller and you know that the pool is leaking, or maybe the AC isn't working, or perhaps you've had a roof leak that you've never attended to, you're going to want to make sure that that's repaired before you put your home on the market, because two things are going to happen here. Once a buyer puts an offer in, it's more likely than not 99% chance that the buyer is going to go through a home inspection and it's going to come up anyways. They could either use that information to negotiate a better deal, or perhaps if there's just too much repair work that needs to be done in the home, they may just drop out of the deal altogether. So you're going to be much better off making all the necessary repair work before you even put it on the market. My recommendation would actually be hire a home inspector, get a thorough home inspection done in your home. That could be anywhere from $1,000 or less, depending on what kinds of inspections you get, and then utilizing that information to making all those updates. You can actually go through that period when the buyer is hiring their own home inspection much more de-stressed, knowing that, you know what, there's probably not much that's going to come out of it because I already fixed it. If the inspection costs you $1,000 and you have to put in, say, $2,000 or $3,000 in repair work, up your listing price by that amount and recover the expenses that you put into it. Number three is you do not want to neglect a curb appeal. I know when you're ready to sell, you are psychologically getting ready to selling your home. Maybe you're moving out of town, or maybe you're moving into a new home altogether. So you feel like, you know what, I don't really need to put a lot of effort into it anymore because pretty soon it's going to be sold anyways. You're doing yourself a disservice. First impressions matter, right? So if they're walking up to a house and the lawn hasn't been mowed, the roof is really dirty, maybe the outside paint on the house is chipping off, in the mind of the buyer, they're going to be thinking, well, what else has the seller not been taken care of inside that we can't readily see? So I'm not saying hire a professional landscaper and spend lots of dollars to dressing up the front and the back. No, because you're going to be moving out of there anyways, and you can allow the buyer to kind of take advantage of that, have them hire whoever they want and do whatever they want with the property. But you do want to make sure that first the property is clean, that the lawn is mowed, that the front entrance is inviting, maybe get some mulch, maybe get some plants and flowers. Ask your listing agent, what suggestions do you have that is not going to break my bank account? And I'm sure they're going to get very creative here. This is so important. Now you've already gotten the buyer into your house. You want to make sure that the buyer is able to envision themselves living there. They're probably in their head already starting to think about where their furniture is going to go. If you have too much of your own furniture there, they're not going to be able to really see the different room dimensions, the layout. You want them to see past that. Also, if there's just too much going on in the room, if there's interesting architectural aspects of the house, they're not going to be able to see it. All your personal belongings, you want that to be out. All these little extras, things on the wall to be taken off, just completely declutter and just imagine yourself walking through a model home, and I'm sure you've done that. They have the essentials in different rooms that allows you to see how the room is being utilized, right? But just the essentials, the rest is very clean and streamlined. Plus, walking into clutter, just from a psychological standpoint, can be very distressing when in fact you want your buyer to have a really good experience inside of the home. You want them to feel uplifted. I mean, just imagine yourself going into a mall. This is how I feel whenever I go into a mall, which is very rare. But when I do go into a mall, it stresses me out. And it's because there's just too much happening, too many things to see all at once. It's like information overload. And that's what buyers will feel as well when they're walking through an extremely cluttered home. So declutter. Number 5 is you don't want to disregard safety hazards that may be inside of your house. So for example, let's just say you have old flooring and pieces of it are missing, or maybe it's actually protruding up and it could potentially become a trip hazard. You don't want a buyer to come through, fall on their face, and before you know it, you got a lawsuit happening. I'll give you another example, and this has happened, right? Let's just say you have a 2-story home. Buyer walks up the stairs, they're holding on to the railings weren't completely tight, it breaks and they fall off the stairs. If you know of any potential safety issues inside of your house, get those fixed. You don't want a lawsuit, and especially you don't want somebody to get hurt inside of your house. Number 6 is you don't want to leave anything expensive, anything of value inside of the house. Just take it out, right? So if you have expensive jewelry, maybe really nice watches or unique art pieces, take them off the property because you're going to have a lot of buyers coming through. And if you agree that the listing agent has open houses, you'll have even more buyers coming through. And though I would want to believe that most people and most buyers are good human beings who would never think about stealing anything from anyone, you don't want to be in that position where you're actually attracting theft because you left valuable items inside of the house. You don't want to be inflexible when it comes to showings, especially in today's world, because buyers have instant gratification needs. They want to be able to get into a house as quickly as possible. And because buyers have all these different types of options, if they're not able to see your home, it's more likely than not that they're going to find a very comparable home. They'll walk through it, maybe they'll fall in love with it, and now all of a sudden there's an offer on another house. So you want to maximize the number of buyers who are able to come in, and that is by ensuring you're extremely flexible when the listing agent calls you and says, hey, we have a potential buyer coming in. Now, if you're somebody that's no longer living in the house, then more likely than not, this is not going to be an issue. But if you're living inside of the house, just get psychologically ready that you're going to have to be able to leave the home fairly quickly. You don't want to hide any problems, anything that could materially affect the value of the house. You want to make sure that you're upfront about it when you're listing your home. So if you're getting the seller's disclosure, put it all in there. First of all, the buyer, if they're under contract, they're more likely than not going to call an inspector, and the inspector is going to uncover a lot of things. And you want to make sure that what's being uncovered, you've disclosed. So for example, if you've had a previous roof leak, just make sure that's disclosed. Termite issues, and you've had treatment for it, disclose that as well. The seller may find themselves in a position where they should have disclosed the fact that they've had termite issues, for example, but they didn't. And so now the buyer is the new homeowner, and previous seller goes, oh yeah, I got away with this one, though that's not ethical, but that's what they're thinking. The new homeowner is becoming really good friends with the next door neighbor who tells them that the house had termite issues. That could potentially be a lawsuit waiting to happen. Always do the right thing, and that is disclose of anything that could materially affect the value of the house, and you can't go wrong. Number 9 is you don't want to skip on making essential upgrades. And I'm not saying spend $20, $30, $40, $50, $100,000 to upgrade the house unless that's what you want to do. But if you're somebody that's selling a house that's not totally updated, there's still certain types of upgrades you can make that is not going to break your bank account, but it's going to really give the home a fresh new appeal in the eyes of the buyer. And here I'm really talking about if you have old-fashioned lighting fixtures, those are so easy to upgrade. Just get more modern looking ones. Same goes with hardware. Old-fashioned hardware, old hardware, just updated it. And you can do that actually yourself. If you're somebody that hasn't painted the walls in 10, 15 years, or maybe you have very dark walls, you want your space to look bright and cheery, and a really safe color to go with is white or off-white. There's definitely more you can do to the house that is going to speed up the process in which you're selling the house, also increasing the chances of getting a higher price for the house. And I'm not going to go into details, but you can actually look at that video at the end of this video. So make sure you do that, because I think it is going to be very valuable for you, especially if you're in the market of selling soon. You don't want to ignore really good marketing for your property, especially if you're trying to get a higher price point. Selling a property isn't just putting it up on the MLS and hiring a photographer. Now I have pretty pictures up there. It's much more comprehensive. You need to make sure you have the right value proposition. You want to be able to serve up the story for your house to the largest amount of people. Most buyers, if not all of them, will do their initial searches online. They'll look at the MLS, yes, but they're also going to be looking at YouTube videos. They're going to look at Google search results. So the best opportunity for your home is to serve it up to the most buyers that potentially could be interested in that home. And how do you do it? With a very comprehensive marketing plan. And there's not going to be anybody better to help you with that than a listing agent that is well versed in marketing. And now I'm going to give myself a plug here, and that is, if you're looking to sell in the Sarasota County, Manatee County area, I can absolutely help you. I'm a former marketing executive that is very passionate about digital marketing. I have 2 YouTube channels, quite a bit of social media presence. I have no doubt that I'll be able to provide you with best-in-class marketing. So call me anytime. I would love to describe to you what I'm able to do in terms of providing your property with maximum exposure to potential buyers that are going to be interested in your home. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't liked this video yet, please do. It will help to get this video served up to more people. If you're interested in Sarasota real estate, subscribe to this channel if you haven't, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care.